I decided to read the Gypsy Rose book, My Time to Stand, and kind of talk about every chapter, chapter by chapter. I got a couple chapters in, and I'm making a couple videos, and then eventually I'll make my way through all of them, but there's just so much that I want to talk about that this is going to take a while, and I underestimated it. I thought that this would be a quick read, and, I would be, fine, whatever. There couldn't be that many inconsistencies. Oh, no, I was wrong. I was wrong. So the chapter starts with her being a complete narcissist. She talks about her mother, claiming at 24 her mother gave her life and she took hers to save herself. That has to be one of the most narcissistic things I have ever read in my entire life. And you start your book by that notion. That should tell everybody how this book's going to be, how it's going to end, and everything else. This is not going to go the way that she wants it to. I'm not surprised most of these people are returning their books. She discusses how she could never skill her mother herself, and that wasn't her yet. In interviews, she had stated that she had tried to do it before with a BB gun or a pellet gun, and then even in Nick's interviews, he stated that she had tried twice. Once the public knows and once the public doesn't know. The one time that the public does know is the pellet gun or BB gun, which Dee Dee had to go to the hospital over, and they had to dig either a BB or a pellet out of her face or eye or something. It was serious. And, Dee Dee never told on her. In fact, Dee Dee made it out to be someone robbed them, so no one would question Gypsy or anything like that. The entire tone of this chapter, by the way, is very condescending. It's very, my mother is the fault for why I'm like this. There's no accountability. She says that she has been serving 8.5 years, or she served 8.5 years, and that she is trying to learn from her mistakes and learn how life is and stuff like that, which by herself, which Gypsy, you have never done that. Once you got out of prison, you were living with your husband, who had to literally try to help you with everything. He was in interviews answering questions for you because you didn't know how to answer them correctly, and each time that you would answer a question, you were very contradictory. You couldn't keep the same story, so he was trying to help you, and you toss him away for a dude that is just, I don't think he's going to stick around, but that's just me. He may. I can't say that he's not, but I don't know y'all's personal business, but to me, I feel like that's probably not going to be the case. She goes in depth with this chapter in the book about how she, about her medical records, about her going through the medical records, seeing all of the inconsistencies in her medical records and stuff like that, her age difference stuff in regards to that. But yeah, Gypsy, you already knew your medical records. You knew them before you were released from prison. You had to have. You went to court. Your lawyer and you came up with the Munchausen by proxy by looking at your medical records and seeing that your mother had labeled you at different ages at different times, and that you could walk and everything else, but your medical records stated that you couldn't walk, which I do believe was embellished a little bit, but I don't believe that the other disorders and the ones that you had surgeries in regards to was embellished. Those were all necessary surgeries due to the microdeletion that you did suffer with. She goes in to talk about the scars that she has on her body, which literally, if you see the picture of her drawn and her pointing to her scars, she doesn't have that many scars. She has the tube scar on her stomach. I think she has one on her leg. She has one on her neck, and she may have one other one, but she doesn't have as many as she likes to say she has. Most of those surgeries were pretty necessary. And even the biopsy of her muscle it was not normal. It really wasn't. There's no way of faking that, by the way, which tells me that you probably have a problem still to this day with your leg movement, and you probably get tired really easily. She claims that what the doctors did to her messed up her ability to be able to eat. Yeah, most of the videos I've seen her in, whether it be on the show, on TikTok lives, on TikTok, she is eating, almost the entire time, multiple times she's eating. She's had her teeth done or redone multiple times as well, for free. Gypsy, most people don't get those opportunities. You got those opportunities because people felt sorry for you because of your story. If it wasn't for your story, you wouldn't have your teeth redone like that. One interesting thing I seen was that she complained about the prison mirror that was in her room. She had came from a full-size mirror to an 8-inch mirror, so she couldn't look at her body. And she complained about that. She said that she didn't, I'm not even going into detail about it. She says a statement that her mother did try to, her neck. You'll see that she brings that up multiple times in the chapter. Says her mother complained about her voice, says that her voice was very abnormal, which it is. It's very high pitched, but we can see now that that was an act that she played the entire time, and maybe something that her mother didn't realize that she was doing. She claims that Nick has stated that her childlike voice was sexy. Therefore, she's once again throwing him under, but also throwing your mother under at the same time. She has a very good gift at making everybody look like a villain at the same time, and herself look like the only victim in the situation. She also has an issue with constantly wanting to sexualize herself. So a lot through this book, you're going to see that she wants to sexualize herself as much as possible. Even when the manner or the situation isn't a sexual one, she'll bring up something sexual about herself. And mind you, she wrote this book for her child, which is weird. She stated that her mother would chain her up to a bed, yet none of the beds that are in the crime scene photos would be able to be chained. She wouldn't be able to be chained to those beds like she is. And all those beds are around windows. So if you're chained up to a bed, Gypsy, why didn't you holler? Why didn't you scream? There's windows literally right next to the beds. She claimed her mother made her use a manual wheelchair and would not let her use the automatic wheelchair, but in the crime scene photos, the manual wheelchair has a bunch of shit piled up on it in the hoarder's room, and the electric wheelchair is in the bathroom. But she claimed she was in the bathroom before the unaliving, mind you, so she had to roll that wheelchair up in there. And I bet you if something would have happened, she would have climbed her happy ass in that wheelchair and acted like the victim the entire time and said that Nick was crazy and stalking her and stuff like that. That was her idea. That was her plan in case her mother would scream or get away. She talks about the exploratory surgery that the doctors wanted to have to make sure that there was nothing wrong with her her throat, which she says was a very unnecessary surgery, and she just did not want to have it. But mind you, like right before the unaliving, this girl went and got a tube put into her stomach. Her decision to do so. She wanted to have her tube replaced. She brought it up to her mother. She didn't want anything or any other procedures done. The neck thing always brings me back to the crime scene photos because you see the neck and you compare those to the other wounds, and the neck seems more passionate. She leaves statements like her mother wanted to have her sliced open. She didn't want that to happen anymore. She didn't want that surgery, blah, blah, blah. I think that the neck was a more passionate crime. Maybe she had participated in that act, but I can't say that for fact. Alleged. Brings up Russian roulette with scalpels because of all the surgeries she's had, yet she has not had that many surgeries, guys. I've had more than her. And the final point of chapter 1 I want to bring up is the rug addiction. So she claims that she was rolling herself in and taking her mother's pain medication, her mother's OXYs, and she said that she had took 3. Gypsy, do you know what OXYs are? Do you know what 3 of them could do? Especially to someone who's 4'11", that's 96 pounds. That is like an OD. Seriously. And then Nick's the villain at the very end. Yeah.